What happens when a beloved sitcom star sits down for what should be a lighthearted morning chat, only to have the conversation take a sharp turn into uncomfortable territory? What happens when a host pushes just a little too hard, and a guest decides they've had enough? This is the story of the morning Matt LeBlanc walked off the Good Morning America set, leaving Michael Strahan speechless and the crew scrambling. Before we get into it, make sure you hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below telling us what you think about this whole situation. The interview started the way most celebrity interviews do. Matt LeBlanc walked onto the Good Morning America stage with that signature laid-back charm he's known for. Michael Strahan greeted him with a firm handshake and a wide smile, gesturing toward the interview chair. The audience applauded as Matt settled in, crossing one leg over the other, looking relaxed and ready for what he probably assumed would be the usual promotional circuit conversation. Michael leaned forward slightly, his hands clasped together. "So Matt, it's great to have you here. You know, people still stop you on the street and yell Joey's catchphrases, don't they?" Matt chuckled, nodding. "Oh yeah, all the time. How you doing? That's the big one. I hear it everywhere I go. Grocery store, airport, walking my dog. It never gets old though, honestly. That character meant so much to people, and I'm grateful for that." "That's amazing," Michael said, his smile broadening. "But let's talk about what you're doing now. You've been pretty selective about your projects since your last show wrapped. Some might say you've been almost invisible. What's been going on?" There was a slight pause. Matt's expression didn't change much, but there was a flicker of something in his eyes. "Well, I wouldn't say invisible," he replied evenly. "I've been working on a few things here and there. I'm just not the type to jump on every project that comes my way. I like to be selective. You know, quality over quantity." Michael nodded slowly. Sure. But it's been what, a few years now since we've seen you in anything major? I mean, when you compare that to some of your former castmates who've stayed consistently in the spotlight, some people might wonder if you're still relevant in today's entertainment landscape. The shift in the room was subtle but noticeable. Matt uncrossed his legs and sat up a bit straighter. His smile remained, but it had thinned slightly. "Well, Michael, I think relevance is subjective, isn't it? I'm not trying to compete with anyone. I'm doing what makes me happy. Not everyone needs to be on 3 shows at once to feel fulfilled." Of course, Michael said quickly, though his tone suggested he was just getting started. "But you have to admit, Hollywood can be brutal when you step away. The industry moves fast. New faces come in every day. Do you ever worry that you've been away too long? That maybe the opportunities won't be there when you decide you want them?" Matt's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. "I don't really operate from a place of fear, Michael. I've had a great career. I'm proud of the work I've done. If opportunities come, they come. If they don't, I'm fine with that too. I'm not desperate to stay in the spotlight." Michael leaned back, his expression thoughtful but his eyes sharp. "Not desperate. Interesting choice of words. Because I've got to be honest with you, Matt, there's been some talk in the industry. People saying that you've turned down roles that other actors would kill for. There are rumors that you've become difficult to work with. That you have unrealistic expectations about the parts you'll accept. What do you say to that?" The air in the studio seemed to grow heavier. Matt stared at Michael for a long moment before responding. "Who exactly is saying these things, Michael? Because I'd love to know where you're getting your information. I've turned down roles, sure, but that doesn't make me difficult. It makes me someone who knows what they want. And frankly, I find it interesting that you're bringing up anonymous industry gossip on a morning talk show." Michael raised his hands in a placating gesture. "Hey, I'm just asking the questions that people want answered. This is what journalism is, Matt. We dig into things. We don't just do puff pieces anymore. Audiences want real conversations." Matt's expression hardened. "Real conversations. Is that what this is? Because it feels more like an ambush to me. Michael, you invited me here to talk about my career, and instead, you're throwing around vague accusations based on what? Unnamed sources. That's not journalism. That's gossip." "Come on now," Michael said, his voice taking on a slightly condescending tone. "Don't be so sensitive. I'm trying to have an honest discussion here. You've been in this business long enough to know how this works. People talk. Reputations get built, and sometimes they get torn down. I'm giving you a chance to set the record straight." "Set the record straight about what exactly?" Matt shot back. "You haven't actually accused me of anything specific. You're just insinuating things and expecting me to defend myself against shadows. That's not fair, and you know it." Michael's smile never wavered, but there was a glint in his eye now. "Okay, let's get specific then. There's a project that came across your desk last year, a pretty big ensemble piece with a list talent attached. Word is, you turned it down because your demands were too high. You wanted top billing, a producer credit, and script approval. For a supporting role, that sounds pretty difficult to me, Matt. Care to comment on that?" Matt's face flushed slightly. "First of all, I don't know what project you're talking about. Second, even if that were true, which I'm not confirming, what's wrong with an actor knowing their worth and negotiating accordingly? You think I should just take whatever scraps are thrown my way and be grateful? Nobody's saying that. Michael replied smoothly. But there's a difference between knowing your worth and being unrealistic. The industry has changed, Matt. The days of one person holding up an entire production with demands are over. It's about collaboration now, about being a team player. Matt let out a short, humorless laugh. That's rich coming from you, Michael. You don't think you have demands? You don't think you negotiate hard for what you want? The only difference is you're still in demand. So when you do it, it's called being professional. When I do it, I'm difficult. The double standard is pretty clear. The tension was palpable now. Michael shifted in his seat, his professional demeanor starting to show cracks. I'm not the one being interviewed here, Matt, and I think you're deflecting. The question is about you and your choices. Why is it so hard for you to just answer honestly? I am answering honestly, Matt said, his voice rising slightly. But you're not listening. You came into this with a narrative already written in your head. You decided before I even sat down that you were going to paint me as some washed-up actor who's too proud to accept reality. Well, I'm not playing along with that, Michael. Michael leaned forward again, his voice dropping to a more intimate, almost challenging tone. You know what I think, Matt? I think you're scared. I think you stepped away because you couldn't handle the competition anymore. The young actors coming up, the new shows, the streaming platforms changing everything. You saw the writing on the wall and you bailed. And now you're trying to pretend it was all your choice, that you're above it all. Matt's eyes flashed. You have no idea what you're talking about, don't I? Michael pressed on, because from where I'm sitting, it looks pretty clear. You had your moment. You were on top of the world with friends. But that was then, and this is now. And maybe, just maybe, you're not as good as you used to be. Maybe you're afraid that if you put yourself out there again, people will see that the magic is gone. The studio had gone completely silent. Even the crew members had stopped what they were doing, sensing that something unprecedented was unfolding. Matt stood up abruptly, his microphone pack shifting with the sudden movement. You know what, Michael? I don't have to sit here and listen to this. I came here in good faith, thinking we were going to have a real conversation. But this is just you trying to make yourself look tough by tearing me down. Well, congratulations. You got your moment. I hope it was worth it. Michael looked genuinely surprised for the first time. Matt, come on. Sit down. We're just talking here, Dono, Matt said firmly, reaching up to remove his microphone. We're not just talking. You're attacking me, and I'm done with it. I've been in this industry for decades, Michael. I've dealt with real journalists, tough interviews, hard questions, but this is just mean-spirited, and I'm not going to be part of it. Michael stood up as well, his hands out in a calming gesture. Matt, wait a second. You're overreacting here. This is what interviews are. We push, we challenge, we get to the truth. That's my job. Your job, Matt repeated, his voice sharp. Your job is to ambush guests with garbage rumors and then act surprised when they push back. That's not journalism, Michael. That's tabloid trash, dressed up as morning television. Michael's expression shifted, the professional veneer slipping further. Look, I get that you're upset, but you need to understand something. I have a responsibility to my audience. They don't want softball questions. They want to know the real story, and the real story is that you've disappeared from the industry, and people want to know why. I told you why, Matt fired back. I've been selective. I've been living my life. I don't owe anyone an explanation beyond that, and I certainly don't owe you a performance where I sit here and let you insult me while pretending it's for the sake of good television. Nobody's insulting you, Michael insisted, though his tone suggested otherwise. I'm asking legitimate questions about your career trajectory. If you can't handle that kind of scrutiny, then maybe you're proving my point about not being able to handle the pressure anymore. Matt shook his head in disbelief. Unbelievable. You really don't see what you're doing here, do you? You're not asking questions, Michael. You're making accusations and dressing them up as inquiries. There's a difference, and it's a big one. Michael's jaw tightened. You know what, Matt? Maybe the problem isn't me. Maybe the problem is that you've been out of the game so long that you've forgotten how it works. You've been sitting at home, comfortable, not having to deal with the grind. And now, when someone asks you a tough question, you fall apart. I'm not falling apart, Matt said through gritted teeth. I'm standing up for myself. Something you'd understand if you had any integrity left. Integrity? Michael's voice rose now, his own anger starting to show. You want to talk about integrity? I'm up here every morning at 4 a.m., working my tail off to put on a quality show for millions of people. What are you doing, Matt? What have you done in the last 3 years that gives you the right to lecture me about integrity? Matt took a step closer to Michael, his voice low and intense. I don't have to justify my choices to you or anyone else. The fact that you think I do shows exactly what's wrong with this whole conversation. You've decided that because I'm not constantly in the public eye, there must be something wrong with me, that I must be failing somehow. Well, newsflash, Michael, not everyone measures success by how often they appear on camera. Michael crossed his arms. That's a convenient philosophy for someone whose phone has stopped ringing. Wow, Matt said, letting out a bitter laugh. There it is. The real Michael Strahan, everybody. Not the friendly morning show host, the guy who kicks people when they're down, or when he thinks they're down. You must feel really proud of yourself right now. I feel fine, Michael shot back. I feel like I'm doing my job. If you can't take the heat, then maybe you shouldn't have agreed to come on the show. So now it's my fault, Matt asked incredulously. I'm the problem here, not the fact that you've spent the last 10 minutes trying to humiliate me on national television. Michael's face hardened. You know what your real problem is, Matt? You can't accept that your best days are behind you. You had your run, it was great, but it's over. And instead of accepting that, with grace, and maybe finding a new path forward, you're sitting around bitter and angry that the world has moved on without you. The words hung in the air like a bomb that had just detonated. Matt stared at Michael for a long moment, and when he spoke again, his voice was eerily calm. You have no idea what you're talking about. You don't know me. You don't know my life. You don't know what I want or what makes me happy. All you know is what you've read in some gossip column or heard from some indecent industry hanger-on who's probably bitter about their own failures. Michael didn't back down. I know what I see, Matt. I see someone who's defensive, someone who's angry, someone who can't handle a simple conversation about their career without losing it. Losing it. Matt's voice rose again. You've been provoking me from the moment I sat down. You came at me with rumors, innuendo, and personal attacks. And now you're acting like I'm the unreasonable one for calling you out on it. That's gaslighting, Michael. That's what that is. Oh, please. Michael scoffed. Don't throw around therapy buzzwords to avoid the real issue here. The issue is that you can't handle honest criticism. Honest criticism would be fine, Matt countered. What you're doing isn't honest criticism. It's character assassination. There's a massive difference. The crew was completely frozen now. Cameras still rolling, capturing every second of this unprecedented meltdown. A producer off to the side was frantically speaking into a headset, clearly trying to figure out how to handle the situation. Michael took a breath, seeming to realize that things had spiraled out of control. Look, Matt, he said, his tone slightly softer but still edged with frustration. Maybe we got off on the wrong foot here. Why don't we take a breath, sit back down, and start over? Start over, Matt repeated, shaking his head. So you can what? Continue this character assassination from a different angle? No thanks, Michael. I think I've heard enough. Come on, be professional about this, Michael urged. We're live on television. You can't just walk off. Watch me, Matt said simply. And just so we're clear, this isn't about me not being able to handle tough questions. I've done hundreds of interviews. I've sat across from journalists who actually knew how to ask challenging questions without being disrespectful. You could learn something from them. Michael's eyes flashed. You're making a huge mistake here, Matt. Walking off this show, that's going to follow you. People are going to see this and think you're unstable, that you can't handle pressure. Let them think whatever they want, Matt replied. I'd rather be known as the guy who walked off your show than the guy who sat there and took your abuse with a smile. At least I'll be able to look at myself in the mirror. This is ridiculous, Michael muttered, running a hand over his head. You're being completely unreasonable. No, Matt corrected him. I'm being completely reasonable. What's unreasonable is expecting me to sit here while you try to embarrass me for ratings. What's unreasonable is you thinking that tearing me down somehow builds you up. It doesn't, Michael. It just makes you look cruel. Michael's face flushed. I am not cruel. I'm a professional doing my job. Then maybe you need to reconsider what your job actually is, Matt said, because from where I'm standing, it looks like your job has become manufacturing drama at the expense of your guest's dignity, and I want no part of it. Fine, Michael said, his voice tight. If you want to leave, leave, but don't expect to come back. Don't expect any other shows to want to book you after this little tantrum. Matt actually smiled at that, though there was no warmth in it. You know what, Michael? I think I'll survive. I survived before morning talk shows existed, and I'll survive after they're gone. Can you say the same? The question hit its mark. Michael's expression darkened even further. What's that supposed to mean? It means that maybe you should worry less about my career and more about your own, Matt replied. Because attacking guests might get you some viral clips and social media buzz, but it's not going to sustain a career in the long run. Eventually, people see through it. Michael stepped closer now, his voice low. You're way out of line here, Matt. Am I? Matt asked, not backing down an inch. Or am I just saying what everyone else is too polite to tell you? That you've become a bully with a microphone. That you hide behind the pretense of tough journalism to justify being mean. I could end your career with one phone call, Michael said quietly. And the threat was unmistakable. Matt stared at him for a long moment, then laughed. A real laugh this time, though it was filled with disbelief. And there it is. The mask completely off. You know what, Michael? Go ahead. Make your phone calls. Blacklist me. Do whatever makes you feel powerful. Because the truth is, I don't need you. I don't need this show. I don't need any of it. I'm good. You're going to regret this, Michael warned. The only thing I regret, Matt said evenly, is wasting my morning coming here. I thought we were going to have a real conversation. I thought you were better than this. I was wrong. Michael's face was a mask of barely controlled anger now. You think you're so much better than everyone else, don't you? You think because you were on one successful show that you're above all this. Matt's eyes narrowed. That's not what I think at all, and you know it. What I think is that I deserve basic respect. What I think is that an interview shouldn't feel like an interrogation designed to break someone down. Is that really such a radical concept to you? Respect is earned, Michael shot back. And walking off a live interview, that's not how you earn respect, Matt, that's how you lose it. You know what? Matt said, his voice steady, despite the charged atmosphere. Maybe you're right. Maybe some people will lose respect for me after this, but at least I'll have my self-respect. Can you say the same after the way you've conducted yourself today? The producer had moved closer now, clearly debating whether to intervene. The cameras were still rolling, capturing every moment of this train wreck in real time. Michael glanced at the producer, then back at Matt, and seemed to make a decision. You want to know the truth, Matt? Michael's voice took on a different quality now, more personal, less performative. The truth is that people in this industry talk, and what they say about you isn't pretty. They say you're difficult. They say you're past your prime. They say you're living off the success of a show that ended 20 years ago. I was giving you a chance to address that, to defend yourself. And instead, you're throwing a fit. A fit. Matt's laugh was incredulous. Michael, you've been attacking me from the moment I sat down. You didn't ask me one genuine question. You didn't show one moment of curiosity about what I've actually been doing or what matters to me. All you cared about was creating some kind of spectacle. Well, congratulations. You got it. I care about the truth, Michael insisted. And the truth is that you can't handle being challenged anymore. You've gotten soft. Soft, Matt repeated, shaking his head. You keep using words like that. Soft, can't handle pressure, can't take the heat. But here's what I think. Michael, I think you're projecting. I think you're the one who's insecure. I think you're the one who feels the need to prove something. And the easiest way to do that is to tear someone else down. Michael took a step back. And for a moment, something flickered across his face. Hurt, maybe, or recognition. But it was gone in an instant, replaced by defiance. You don't know anything about my life or what I've been through, and you don't know anything about mine, Matt countered. That's been my point this entire time. You made assumptions about me based on gossip and tabloid speculation. You didn't do your homework. You didn't care about having a real conversation. You just wanted to score points. Michael hesitated, and in that hesitation, everything became clear. There had been no real plan, no genuine curiosity, just an opportunity to create drama, to generate headlines, to get people talking. And Matt had seen through it from the beginning. You know, the sad thing is, we could have had a great conversation, Matt said quietly. I've got stories I could have shared, things I've learned, projects I'm passionate about. But you weren't interested in any of that. You were interested in blood. Michael's jaw worked, like he wanted to say something, but couldn't find the words. The studio was so quiet you could hear the hum of the equipment, the slight shuffle of crew members shifting their weight, the tension crackling in the air like static electricity. I hope it was worth it, Matt continued. I hope the ratings bump you get from this makes up for whatever credibility you just lost. Michael's face flushed deep red. Get out, he said, his voice low and dangerous. Just get out. I'm going, Matt assured him. I've been trying to leave for the last 5 minutes. You're the one who kept pushing. Matt pulled the microphone pack from his belt and set it carefully on the chair. The producer stepped forward, finally intervening. Please, let's just take 5 minutes to cool down. We can work this out. Matt turned to face the producer. With all due respect, there's nothing to work out. This interview is over. He started walking toward the exit, his footsteps echoing in the suddenly silent studio. Matt, Michael called out, and this time there was something different in his voice. Something almost desperate. You're really going to do this? This is going to ruin you. You know that, right? Walking off Good Morning America. That's career suicide. Matt stopped and turned slowly, looking Michael dead in the eye. You know what's career suicide, Michael? Forgetting that the people you interview are human beings with feelings and dignity. You crossed that line today, and now you're trying to make me the bad guy for calling you on it. I was just doing my job, Michael said, but the words sounded hollow now. No, Matt corrected gently. You were doing what you thought would make good television. There's a difference. And somewhere along the way, you forgot that difference matters. Think about the message this sends. Michael tried one more time. I have thought about it, Matt replied. And the message I want to send is that I won't tolerate being treated poorly, regardless of the platform. That's a message I'm comfortable with. Michael seemed to have run out of arguments. He just stood there, looking suddenly smaller, somehow, less intimidating. I'm sorry this went the way it did, Matt said. I'm sorry we couldn't have the conversation I thought we were going to have. But mostly, I'm sorry for anyone watching who thought they were going to see something interesting and instead got to witness this mess. With that, Matt walked toward the exit. The crew parted silently, creating a path. As he reached the door, he paused one final time. Without turning around, he said, for what it's worth, Michael, you're better than this. Or at least, You used to be. I hope you figure out how to get back to that version of yourself." Then he pushed through the door and was gone. The heavy studio door swung shut behind him with a definitive thud. For a moment, nobody moved. Nobody spoke. The cameras kept rolling, capturing Michael standing alone on the set. The empty chair beside him, a stark reminder of what had just transpired. Michael turned to the camera, and for just a second, his carefully constructed television persona cracked completely. He looked lost, uncertain, like a man who had just realized he'd made a terrible mistake but had no idea how to fix it. "We'll be right back," he managed to say, his voice rough. And then someone finally had the presence of mind to cut to commercial. So, there you have it, the complete breakdown of the interview that ended with Matt LeBlanc walking off the Good Morning America set, leaving Michael Strahan and the entire crew in shock. The footage spread like wildfire, with people taking sides, debating who was right and who was wrong. But beyond the drama, beyond the headlines, what this really showed us was something deeper about celebrity, respect, and the price of entertainment. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below. Here's my question for you. Do you think Matt LeBlanc was justified in walking off, or should he have stayed and finished the interview? Let me know what you think.